is falling and the air is cool, but the headlines are already shaping the nation's conversation as this Wednesday morning unfolds. The front pages of today's newspaper brings us the stories making the biggest impact across Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM broadcasting for all. It is cool and it is a drizzling Wednesday, the 29th of July 2026. So whether you're on the road, you're at work or getting your day started, thank you for making us part of your morning. I am Abiodun Samson and I will be taking you through the headlines making the front pages of the dailies this morning. And understand with me this morning, I have the Nigerian Tribune, The Punch, Nations, and also Daily Post. So settle in as we scan the front pages, as we highlight the top stories and bring you the headlines setting the agenda for today. And here I will be starting with the Nigerian Tribune with this headline that says Southern Middle Belt leaders insist on South's retaining presidency. With this rider, back state police demand new constitution through federalism. And also on the same front page, Obi's one-term pact would shortchange Indigo. That is coming from presidency. And also, Appeal Court nullifies orders disregistering ADC, Accord, 3 other political parties. And also on the front page, your government receives 2 security surveillance aircraft. And also on that page, we have this headline that says, we are stabilizing Nigeria, Tinubu takes Catholic bishop. And also on that page, again, suspected armed herders killed 15 in Benue State. And also, this is coming from the front page on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. Repeated currency devaluation deepens poverty. And this is coming from ex-World Bank chief. And those are the headlines that made it to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for this morning. Moving forward now to the Punch newspaper with this headline that says federal government overshoots borrowing limits as new debt reaches 12.62 trillion naira. Appeal Court restores ADC Atiku, Mark Adeleke celebrate. Police silent as reps ultimatum on fake agency DGs expires today. EFCC face credibility questions over asset auctions. And also on the front page of the Punch newspaper, State Police, government must control CPS, Southern Middle Belt leaders insist. And also, U.S.-Iran war, Nigerian tops Africa in petrol price surge. And also on that front page, Makinde unveils 2 new surveillance aircraft to combat insecurity. And those are the headlines that made it to the front page of the Punch newspaper for this morning, the 29th of July, 2026. you're just tuning in this Code Wednesday morning, you are tuning into JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And I will be moving forward to the Guardian newspaper with this headline that says, gubernatorial candidates, parties unsettled by running mate orders. Opposition's hails ruling as appeal court voids deregistration, restores ADC and 4 others. Federal government to spend 46 billion naira on Kano Airport runways constructions. 2 surveillance aircraft arrives in Ibadan to boost Oyo security. And those are the major headlines from The Guardian for this morning. And moving forward to The Nation for this morning with this headline that says, xenophobia, federal government demands justice from South Africa. E-payment penetration drops cash outside banks to 4.92 trillion naira. INEC neutral, fair to all parties, says Tinubu. And also the same news, surveillance aircraft will boost security in Oyo, says Makinde. And also this last one on The Nation's, Fubara's return to Rainbow Coalition excites Wike. And those are the major headlines from The Nations for this morning. I'm taking this headline from Daily Post. It says, electricity tariff hike. Nigerians tackle Tinubu's government failure to fix power supply challenges. And those are the headlines that made it to the front page of the dailies for this morning. And I will be starting to give you a story from the headlines from The Guardian with this one that says, gubernatorial candidate, parties unsettled by running mate order. Despite the absence of a clear constitutional provision for deputy governors, the selection of gubernatorial running mates has become highly contentious in the build-up to the February 6, 2027 governorship polls. This development comes ahead of the political parties' race to meet the August 8 deadline set by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the submission of governorship and House of Assembly candidates. Already, the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, have uploaded the names of their governorship candidates and their running mates for 27th of the 28th state where governorship elections will be held, signaling that the party has largely resolved disputes arising from its primaries, Why party source said only one Northeast state remain outstanding due to disagreement over the choice of a deputy governorship candidate, with a stakeholders meeting in Abuja expected to conclude the process. Checks by The Guardian revealed that given the presence of the strong contending political parties and the exodus of party kingpins to other opposition parties in some states, governorship candidates of the major platforms have adopted various strategies including religious, demographic and political consideration to select their running mate. And this story continues on The Guardian newspaper for this morning. All right, still on the same newspaper, The Guardian, opposition hails ruling as appeal courts avoid the registrations, restores ADC and 4 others. The Court of Appeal's decision restoring the registrations of 5 political parties yesterday triggered a wave of political reactions, with opposition leaders declaring it a victory for democracy and saying it could reshape the landscape ahead of the 2027 elections. The appellate court nullifies the judgment directing the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to deregister the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and 4 other political parties for allegedly failing to meet constitutional requirements. In a unanimous decision, a 3-member panel of justice held that the June 15 judgment of the federal court was a nullity, ruling that the trial court lacked jurisdictions to entertain the suits. The appellate court held that the case was incompetent because it was instituted by a non-juridic entity, adding that there was no valid suit upon which the Federal High Court could have ordered INEC to withdraw recognition from the affected parties. And the story continues on The Guardian newspaper for this morning, the 29th of July, 2026. Still in the same vein of the last story, moving to the Punch newspaper that says appeal court restores ADC article, Mark Adeleke celebrates. The judgment of the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja, which set aside the June 15 judgment of the Federal High Court ordering the Independent National Electoral Commission to deregister the African Democratic Congress, Action Alliance, Action People's Party, Accord and Zenith Labour Party, has sparked jubilation among opposition leaders. Vice President Atiku Abubakar's camp, the ADC National Chairman David Mark, OSHO State Governor Ademola Adeleke, Action Alliance presidential candidate Adekunle Omarje, and other stakeholders hailed the appellate court verdict, describing it as major victory for constitutional democracy, the rule of law, and Nigerian multi-party political party. The Court of Appeal ruled that the trial court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the suit seeking the registrations of the ADC and others. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Abba Mohammed said that the lower court wrongly assumed jurisdictions over a suit instituted by the National Forum of Former Legislators, which the appellate court ruled was not a juristic person. and a legal capacity to sue. And this story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. And moving forward to that, I will be taking this headline from the Punch newspaper as well that says, Federal government overshoots borrowing limit to new debt reaches 12.62 trillion naira. The federal government exceeded its 2024 borrowing target by 4.79 trillion naira after a wider projected budget deficit forced it to raise significantly more financing than originally planned, the Budget Office of the Federation has disclosed. According to the latest fourth quarter and consolidated budget implementation report for 2024, the federal government's new borrowing rose to 12.62 trillion naira, exceeding the budgeted 7.83 trillion naira by 4.79 trillion naira, or 61.2%. The higher borrowing requirement followed a substantial revenue shortfall, which pushed the fiscal deficit to 13.51 trillion naira, well above the approved deficit of 9.18 trillion naira. And this story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. If you're just tuning in, it's still the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, the only radio station that is broadcasting for all. And I'm moving to The Nation with this headline that says, Xenophobia, federal government demands justice from South Africa. The federal government has demanded justice for Nigerians killed in South Africa, adequate compensation for those whose properties were looted, businesses destroyed, and who were forced to return home empty-handed. It also insisted that Nigeria was not helpless in responding to the attack, saying diplomacy remained as its preferred options, although all options were still open. The government said no fewer than 98 Nigerians were killed in xenophobic and Afrophobic attack in South Africa within the last 4 years. It says a comprehensive compilation of losses suffered by thousands of Nigerians residing in that country was being undertaken with the intention of presenting claims to the South African government, which he alleged look at other ways why rampaging mobs carried out the attack. In some instances, security agents directly killed Nigerians on acquaintances with the heinous acts were being perpetrated. And this story continues on The Nation for this morning. And as you know that we want you to be part of the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM in few minutes. You can either be part by dropping your messages on our Facebook and YouTube on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And you can also listen to us live on www.jdnradio1015.com and also JDN Radio 101.5 FM on Radio Garden. And I will be taking this as I read the message that we have on our Facebook page. It says, still on The Nation, and this is the headlines that say, surveillance aircraft will boost security in Oyo, says Makinde. The 2 surveillance aircraft acquired by the Oyo State government have arrived in Ibadan, fulfilling the government's earlier assurance that the aircraft would be delivered before the end of July. Commissioner for Information, Prince Dotun Oyelade, who confirmed the development in a statement yesterday, said the arrival of the aircraft marked another step in the state effort to strengthen security operations through improved intelligence gathering and area surveillance. The commissioner recalled that the state government announced the purchase of the 2 surveillance aircraft on July 8 as part of measures aimed at enhancing the capacity of security agencies to tackle emergency security challenges across the state. And the story continues on the Nations for this morning. And moving to our Facebook with this story that sparked a headline that sparked reactions, and this is from Dr. Mrs. She said, why is Peter Obi giving those people sleepless nights? Okay, and she further said, theoretical inequality have become most nauseating in all levels of governance. We have shepherds, sheep, and wolves. Some wolves are so clever, and others learn to dress up like sheep just to deceive. And she further moved ahead and said, we have witnessed enough of corrupt, insensitive, and incorrigible leadership in the history of Nigeria, and we cannot continue this way. The masses are fast on learning the qualities of morality, discipline, justice, and fairness, so worrisome and alarming. So thank you so much for your contribution. I know the first headline I read was on the Nigerian Tribune talking about Peter Obi. And also thank you for joining us, Ashiwaju Omo presenter. And for you to be part of the newspaper review, you are trying to call in or you are trying to make a contribution this morning and you are not able to get through, do not worry, as the newspaper review comes up in Yoruba language translation on Af'Oni Iroyin, that comes up shortly. Do not forget that the newspaper review continues tomorrow, same time, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on your dial, JDN Radio 101.5 FM. I remain Abiodun Samson. Do not take it away, and do not take it away from this dial, JDN Radio 101.5 FM. Af'Oni Iroyin comes up shortly.